Morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Siegfried. Joe.
We'll get started here in just a few minutes, guys. We'll wait for everyone late to get in here, and then we will get started. Excuse me. So we're gonna get started here in just a few minutes, guys. We're just waiting for everyone to get in here. GV is getting a move up.
Yeah, lots of action.
How long are you gonna be in Japan for, Steve?
So it's funny you asked. We were just talking about that today. I think we're going to stay here till May.
Oh shit, that's sick.
Yeah. So we're going to just figuring out how long we'll be in Tokyo. Then we're going to do some traveling around the countryside, Kyoto and all that fun stuff. And yeah, we're excited.
Cool.
I mean, it's a long time, but if we could always cut it short if we want to do something else.
Right.
Yeah, but there is a lot to see and do here in Japan, so.
Yeah, I've been looking at your Instagram, dude. It looks like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Every day it's like, wow. I mean, even little things like hundreds of bicycles on the street with no locks. I mean, imagine that in a huge city. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That's crazy. That's really crazy.
No smoking on the streets. There's little smoking areas blocked in. Like they got a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. But anyway, definitely fun.
All right, guys, so let's get started here. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to live trading. If this is your first time on live trading, welcome. We use the webinars channel in Slack to communicate. The way that we structure live trading is pretty simple. We talk about what's working in the market, what's not working in the market, review some past trades, build the watch list live, and trade the watch list live. So, we've been doing something where we stream the first 30 minutes on YouTube, where you guys could see our thought processes, our watch list, and then right at 9:29 a.m. we cut off the live stream and reserve that for MIC members only. It's kind of a little bit of a sneak peek of what our live trading is like every single day. So coming to today, let's first talk about my trading. So let's start with MLGO yesterday. So MLGO, let me pull up my chart here real quick. 1 second. So MLGO, this was my trade on it. Let me make it a little bit bigger. This was my trade on it yesterday. So it tanked down and I ended up shorting the bounce. And I got a really nice cover in the 1050 area. And I was really convinced that this stock was done for. And I ended up shorting the bounces and I ended up covering at the top. And then the stock ended up failing. Broke down under VWAP, so reduced some more, and then as we started to break through high the days, I just cut it off and moved on. So I stopped out around 1220, $12.20, and that was it. Fast forward to today, after that, the stock ended up not only going to $12.20, it went all the way as high as $19.70, right? $19.70. So I took what was a $100 loss that could have easily been a multi-$1,000 loss. So in the moment yesterday, I was actually really frustrated. I was really pissed because I was like, I hate turning winners into losers. That's something that like really, really agitates me and really, really kind of gets in my head. So yesterday, when I turned this winner of MLGO into a loser, I was really upset. And then fast forward an hour later and it went up to $19, I was not so upset anymore, right? And that was because I kind of reminded myself that the process is there and the rules are there to keep me safe. The process is not there. The rules are not there to hurt my trading. The process and the rules are not there to cause issues in my trading. The process and rules are there simply to help my trading. And I don't think that there is a better example than this MLGO, right? And the biggest thing is walking away at zombie time. Yeah, I traded a little bit past 11 a.m. and I was kind of getting a little bit sloppy there. But the best thing that I did was walk away and not really come back. And then, it ended up kind of having a death candle. Now it's rebounding and yada, yada, yada. So yesterday, when I took my loss of $103, I was really upset, not because of the money, right? $103, you can find $100 on the bill on the floor these days, right? If you get lucky. But it was the fact that I kind of turned a winner into a loser, and that really just mentally got to me. But seeing the process work so well in action and seeing the process actually defended me from having a significantly larger loss, that's kind of what made me a little bit more happy, right? So although I had a losing day yesterday, although the month has been dead slow, I think that you guys could very clearly realize that it has not been an easy month. It's been a rather stressful month. It's been a rather difficult month. The stocks that are moving are kind of moving choppy. The stocks that are trapping in big ways, and the stocks are not really doing what we expect it to do. Now, does this mean the strategy is broken? Does this mean you got to start trading corn futures and orange juice futures? No. It's just basic math, right? So my win rate is about 80%. So I win 80% of the time. So what that means is 12 months of the year, about 10 of those months should be really great months, and about 2 of those months should be difficult months, right? That's just simple math. So I would consider March to be one of those difficult months where it's just really tough to get anything to stick. It's really tough to kind of get everything moving. There's been a lot of volatility in the market due to tariffs and interest rates and this and that, so that's not really helping. But I think overall, you can look on social media, you can look on Twitter, you can look everywhere. There's really not anyone that's really kicking ass in March. So the fact that I'm green, whether it be $20,000, I'm actually really happy about that, because as you guys know, with the right trade, I can make that in a day plus more. But I just want to make sure that I'm keeping my losses under control, because the losses keeping under control is the most important part. So long-winded story to say that it's been a tough month, but it's just part of the process. It's part of the statistics. And for MLGO going as high as nearly $20 yesterday, for me to only lose $100, I think is pretty impressive. So with that being said, let's get into building the watch list. So I pull that up. So the way that we build the watch list is we always use the previous day's watch list and build from there. So let's get started. MLGO. So MLGO, probably going to ignore this one unless it goes red. I think it's kind of having some trappy action. MLGO, day 3 of the move. Still acting very difficult. I will wait until this goes red and then short it. So that'll help keep it simple. DATS, so DATS ended up failing yesterday. Now it's kind of rebounding back. I think if we get a pretty decent rebound towards like 480, maybe 530, and call it $6 for a short. So 480, DATS, day 2, 480, 480, 530, and $6 to short with a 625 stop. POAI, I royally screwed this up. It ended up having a pretty decent fail yesterday. I just was not patient enough for it. I think if we get a bounce towards 220 and 250 should be okay. POAI, day 2 stock, $2, 220, 250, lines to short. TNON. So TNON was yesterday's hot stock runner and ended up pushing into yesterday's resistance and failed. I think that if we get a nice bounce, 374, 430s, I'll look to short this. So TNON, 370, 420, actually 370, 4, and 430 lines to short. KBSX not really doing anything. BLNE, I mean, like, this is kind of like 50-50. I think we can short a bounce to VWAP, so maybe 350, 375, and 4, but low conviction. BLNE, 350, 375, 4, too short, but not too high conviction on this. ALMS doing a whole lot of nothing, so nothing really interesting there. Let's talk about what stocks are moving today. We have THTX. THTX, I'll look for a bounce towards 250, 260, and 280 to short. THTX, 240, 260, 280 to short. OSRX, OSRH, potential hot stock of the day, ignoring short. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it, honestly. SURG is moving, but not really anything interesting there. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of pretty much all I got today, guys. So definitely some stocks in play, but mostly going to be a slower day because I don't want to get too trigger happy. I also didn't get much sleep last night. Not really sure why. So I'm feeling a little bit slow and lethargic today. So that's not really helping me either. But that's kind of what I got for the watch list today. So pretty much mainly watching TNON, watching THTX. OSRX is probably the hot stock, maybe DATS if it ends up bouncing. As I mentioned, I sold a fourth of my Tesla long-term position yesterday. So I still have 3/4 of my position. I'm probably going to be holding that for a lot longer. Same way that I do in small caps. This allows me to take some risk off the table, allows me to add back for a better average if I need to be, and also be patient. So that's kind of what I did there. GVIC is moving, but it's not really high volume, so really low volume there, so not really interested. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got. So I'm going to pass over the baton to Steven here. And if you have any questions, Steven's your guy. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. Cool. So I thought we can not only do some topics when I have this short segment, but if you guys wanted to do any trade recaps or just general questions, feel free. Yesterday was kind of an interesting day. I think that Alex and I both had a pretty good idea to kind of get out when it started looking strong and then cut it and avoid it. And, MLGO and that thing ended up running to 20. So that was a pretty interesting one. I made a joke in main chat that I think that was one of the first times that we've covered out. And the ticker didn't tank, right? So reverse indicator on that. But yeah, if you guys want to, ever post any charts, feel free, get them ready, and then maybe tomorrow we could start going over some of that stuff. Today, I want to do a recap since we have a lot of new people listening and we haven't done this for a couple weeks. But I want to do a kind of quick rundown and recap of our Max Win program. Let me post it here since we don't have a lot of time, and then I'll kind of go through it. So Max Win is obviously the opposite of max loss. So the idea here was we want to try to get your winners bigger than your losers. This is Probably the main issue that I see a lot of traders who are right on the brink of becoming profitable. One of the main issues that they struggle with is, and it's one of the key components to kind of getting over that point, is getting your winners bigger than your losers, right? So what we try to do here is, there's a couple components to this, right? It's sizing, it's risk management, and it's proper planning. I've got all of those sectioned off into different days. We don't have enough time to get into them all, but during the week, I'll touch on some of those as well. But for today, I'll kind of do an overall recap. If any of you, I know some of you do, because I still get some really good DMs on this. But if you guys have any recent examples of getting your winners bigger than your losers, that means keeping it small until it confirmed, then adding size, etc. Feel free to post it. And then as soon as I get through these, we could kind of look at them and maybe talk about it or go over them. But I know this has helped a lot of members, and I'm really glad to see it. And I just encourage you guys to keep it up in the discipline workshop. But yeah, let me run through these. So first of all, get active in the discipline workshop. I'll do another day on that, but basically, like I touched on yesterday, we focus on making proper plans and sticking to them, and you judge your days and you get calendar win or losses based on how well you stuck to your plans. If you want to get started, we have pinned guidelines. There's also an onboarding video, so just go on the channel or even DM myself, Andrew, or Areg, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction or answer any questions you guys have. So, if you're active, or if you plan to get active in there, or even if you're just doing this on your own, when you post your chart, or when you save your chart, I recommend reviewing it this way. Show us where your add confirmation spot was, then tell us how much size you added, right? So the keys to this, and Alex talks about this every day, is keeping your size to a small amount until the trade confirms. This is probably the biggest component of having that ratio where you want it to be, where your winners are bigger than your losers. And if you guys are paying attention to Alex day in and day out, yesterday he lost $100, right? And I don't know, his last one before that was several thousand. So in general, we could see a loss from Alex. It can be a few hundred, it might be 1,000 or 2. But when we see a really good win, it's going to be a lot more than that. So really high win rate like Alex has, and with the ratio that he's keeping his winners and able to get his winners so much bigger than his losers, this is obviously formula, and this is where everybody should aspire to get to. So 30% max size until your trade confirms. Now, what is confirmation? These are some things that I consider confirmation, but whatever works for you is confirmation. If you're newer, I would recommend pretty much sticking to this. But it could mean different things for different people. For me, it could mean a death candle, a stuff rejection off of a key area, or a key support break. So that means, when I say 30% max, that doesn't mean you're always in 30%, right? That means if the trade is, let's say you're scaling in short, your line is 3, your stop is 310. If you have 2 or 3 scales, then your risk, if you're willing to put, let's just say 1,000 shares on, you have no more than 300 shares on while the trade is moving against you to your stop. That way, if the trade stops you out, you only lost 300 shares. If you got something that you like, one of these signals that confirmed, let's say, we started putting in backside, started breaking down key levels and putting in lower lows, lower highs, etc. Big death candle, then you put more size. That doesn't mean 100% size. If you are comfortable, let's say, with 1,000 shares, let's call that your max size. My next point is, that doesn't mean you always have 1,000 shares on every trade. That doesn't mean you always have 30% size on or 300 shares on before the trade confirms. 30% max and 100% size max means if it's a B setup, a C setup, then you might want to only put 50 or 60% size on, in which case 10 or 20% would be your size until it confirms. So we don't always need 30%, and we definitely don't always use 100%. So 100% size is only reserved for our A+ setups. Otherwise, 40 to 60 probably works. If you're not sure what your A+ setup is, what I mean by that is that's the trades that are the highest probability winners for you, that you do the best at. So if you're not sure, maybe you're newer, just start tracking your trades, figure out where the money is coming from, where it's consistently coming from, and where you do best at, and consider those your top trades, your A+ or A trades. Your max daily loss, risk management is obviously tied into this, but your max daily loss should be around, in my opinion, 2 to 2.5 times an average day's work. That means if on average you make, let's just keep it simple, if you're newer and you're just starting, you make $100 a day, then your max daily loss with your broker should be set at $200 to $250. Then, no matter what happens in your day, no matter how bad your day is, no matter if you are hitting your stops and you're revenge trading, everything's going wrong, your power went out and you can't put your stop on the trade, whatever the situation is, you should only be giving back 2 to 2.5 days of your hard work on the worst possible days, right? If you're giving back a week of work or more, then there's something very wrong. I recommend you get into this workshop, work on proper planning, etc. If you're new, I always recommend you start really small. There's no reason to risk much when you're new and just starting out, you're learning the platform, and you're just getting started. So I recommend like 30, $50 for your risk, or 50 to 100 shares until you get the hang of things. I have another whole kind of segment on that I'll get into later on sizing up, but I always say do it slowly. Like when you see consistent results for a couple months, then you can, size up 20% at a time per month. When you have a red day or a red month, then you drop back down to what you were before, something like that.
Yeah, and I think I want to just add something here real quick, Steve, is I think a lot of people come in really, really excited to trade, which I think is great. But the reason why we say to start slow is because you still don't know what you don't know. And oftentimes, when you first start, you might have issues setting orders, you might have issues with your locates, you might have issues with the broker. So while you're learning all these issues, you don't want to be overly aggressively sizing up, because everyone that joins, is like, all right, I'm going to make 5K a day, I'm going to make 10K a day. But the reality is, if you can't make $50 a day, you can't make $5,000 a day. It's the same building blocks that make $50, make $5,000. It's just adding an extra zero to the share size, right? So the reason why we emphasize staying small when you first start is to protect yourself from the inevitable issues, glitches, problems, and to prove to yourself, wait a second, if I could consistently make $500 a day, if I could consistently make $50 a day on, 100 shares, if I just use 1,000 shares, I'm going to make $500 a day. So that's the main thing that I think that you guys should really understand, is if you are not yet consistent with 100 shares, you will not be consistent with 1,000 shares, 10,000 shares, whatever. But on the flip side, if you are consistent with that small share size it up and your gains will dramatically increase. Like when I first started trading, my first year I lost money. My second year I broke even. And by my third year, I started making about $100 a day. So that was only with a couple hundred shares or a couple thousand shares, whatever it may be. And then eventually I graduated to 10,000 shares and whatever. So long-winded way to pretty much just say, starting small is actually beneficial because it'll get you the hang of everything a lot better.
Yeah, and you don't need the extra stress, right? When you're just starting to be using big size. I like you said, Alex, I think a lot of people make that mistake. I know I did when I was new. I think that's the number one error that new traders make that I see is, they want to take time off, quit trading, whatever. It's always because they didn't size correctly before they learned. It's a two-step process, right? So education and then profits. I think 99% try to flip that around. Right when they get an MIC or when they're not MIC, they just want to make these huge profits, but they're just not ready yet. It takes a little time. When you're comfortable, like you said, making $50, you can size up slowly, but first thing, you got to start making a little bit of money.
Good.
Let's see. So Cicado, hope I pronounced that right. How much of your gains should we risk in a bounce? I don't look at my trades like risking gains into a new trade. What I do is I have the set risk amount and I plan each trade the same. So how I did on my last trade doesn't affect my next trade. You know, what I mean, I have 2 or 3 plans and I just execute. So yeah, I don't really view it that way. I view it by, is it a A plus? Is it a B? What is it? I'm willing to put this much size on it. Here's my levels, here's my entries, here's the size I'm willing to use, and I execute. Do you guys always keep your charts with pre-market? So I'm not sure what you mean, but I always show my charts with pre-market, yes. Let's see. Tenon, I don't know if you mentioned that one, Alex, but Tenon did run yesterday. So yeah, I guess it's a low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
I've heard 30% give back rule. So Daniel, yeah, I've heard that too. I mean, it kind of depends. I've heard some moderators and some people talk about that. Like, if you've gained X amount for the day, you don't want to give, it all back. For me, like we teach in the discipline workshop, I just trade my plans. If I've got 3 plans, I don't think about the last trade. I just trade the plans. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what we teach and that's what I do.
Yeah, it also
something
depends,
else
right?
works for you can do it.
There's also like the give back rule just helps you protect your money. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you make $1,000, you don't want to give back that entire 1,000 by just trading. So it kind of slaps you in the face a little bit. All right, shit. Like if I lose $300, I got to kind of slow it down. Otherwise, you might be willing to risk that entire day. So whatever it is that you decide to do, it's just pretty much another type of guardrail to just keep you safe. There's a 30% give back rule. There's 3 strikes and you're out. So it all just really depends. But at the end of the day, they're all just risk management tools to help make sure that your losses don't, explode higher.
And I do like to do that one, the last one you mentioned, Alex, kind of 3 strikes rule. What I find is if I've had 1 stop out on the day, it's just, those are never going to be my great days. You know what I mean? So like, if I'm stopping at 2 or 3 times, there's just something wrong, like I'm doing something wrong, I'm not trading well. So I definitely believe in that one. If I've got 5 plans and, 3 of them stopped, I'll probably just quit for the day.
Right.
Right?
At that point, something we might be off, you know what I'm saying?
So something's wrong with the day, the market is not favoring my style, whatever, I'm just trading really badly, but yeah. So I definitely I'm a big fan of that one.
Right. So I think we should wrap it up here, Steve, for the YouTube live stream.
Sorry, I didn't see the time.
No worries.
Yep.
So we're going to wrap it up here for the YouTube live stream, guys. Keep in mind that we start live trading at 9:30 every day for MIC members. If you have any questions or you're interested, just email us at stevenrh1@myinvestingclub.com. And we'll be back at it again first thing tomorrow. So thanks, guys, and let's get to live trading for MIC members.